fan? Welcome to the what is it? It's this new season. New season. Welcome to the new season of Division 2. We're at Silverstone today. We got a lot of new faces. Um, a lot of new faces coming up from Division 3, coming down from Division 1. We're at a historic track. You got all the corners, Brooklands, Cops, Maggots and Beckett's, 3 DRS zones. It's not a long track, but it's not a short track. About a 1:30 track time. I'd give or take a couple seconds. These guys probably go a little bit faster than that. But as I mentioned before, it's a new season, new faces. Buffalo, is there anyone you think we should look out for in particular?
OG, yeah, hey, new season, new drivers. I'm looking at a couple. One that comes to mind first is actually Big Mama Frank. So Frank reserved a couple times in D3. He reserved a couple times in D2, and he's got hella pace. So I'm really excited to see how he kind of syncs up with these full-time D2 guys, and he got a nice seat.
Big Mom Frank, he's a great choice. He's in that Mercedes. Um, but you can call me a bit of a homer. You can say whatever. I think the driver to look out for is Shaggy Muffin. He's quite the opposite of Big Mama Frank. Big Mama Frank came up from Division 3. Shaggy Muffin's coming down from Division 1. And I think he's going to show us, he does belong back up in that division. And so I'm excited. I think Shaggy will prove us. I think a lot of drivers, you got the Division 3 champion from last season, Johannes. He's absolutely rapid. You got a lot of great drivers, and it's going to be an exciting season, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, you mentioned Johannes, right? So D3 champion, just was far and above most of us there in D3. And he was actually drafted #1 pick for D2. So everybody has faith in his pace. So, but a little bit increased competition here, right? He's not going to be able to pull away from the field as he tended to a lot of the times in D3. So, might require a little bit more racecraft than last year. We'll see how he fares.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, how that fares. As you say, you got great drivers here. You got Sid, Shaggy, Sleek, who are all D1 level. Um, and they're going to be racing with Johannes. Last season in Division 3, we didn't have, aside from Johannes, I don't think we had like a Division 1 level driver. And so I honestly believe he's going to be even faster this time. He's going to have someone to push because he didn't have that much competition. Um, but yeah, I think it'll be super exciting. I think the Alpine of Johannes and Ethan is deadly.
Yeah, Alpine, of course, the smallest team, right? 2 picks for the whole draft, but they get the power picks, right? They get 1 and 5, and it's very possible our next champion comes from Alpine.
Yeah, and Johannes is looking to repeat, uh, go for a sweep of Division 3 and then Division 2, and maybe move on to Division 1 next season. You never know. But we're on board with Cole Quimmins right now. As he said, I believe he's the first one on a flyer. He said a purple sector 1 still, I think, from NBA and Florida are still out there. He's in sector 2 right now, about to get to sector 3. He's going to get a tow from his teammate, K-Seb. Um, K-Seb moves out the way, I think.
That was very well executed. Nice team communication there.
And that's what you'd like to see. That's a little bit different than what you see in maybe the past broadcast. Division 3, we're a little bit less organized. Um, Division 2 kind of has their thing a bit more together. As Cole goes 128.5, um, and then so we'll see. 128.5. It's not super fast, but it is the first lap, just a banker. We'll see those times drop steadily, I think, throughout the Q1.
Yeah, I'm looking for Cole's time to improve. It looked like he was held up a little bit by Chris coming out of the other lap, so he'll probably return to the pits and bang out something a little bit better. Oh, as he spins out there, getting those tires hot, he'll need to replace those like now.
Yeah, yeah, he's gonna go to the pits and get uh, new tires. Yeah, as you say, he's gonna have to replace them now. But yeah, as we see Sleek, Jordan Angus from last season, he struggled quite a bit in Division 1. Some people were saying it was the curse of the name Jordan Angus. He switched back to Sleek, and he's on a 127.7. I expect that time to drop as well. Um, we were running, do you remember what the Division 3 was running in Q1, like 127.4, 3 or
I
4?
think no, I think it was. Oh, well, in Q1, I think it was kind of like low 128s, I'm not sure, but a 127 would be near the top of the heap in
Yeah,
D3, I think.
there's just a lot of times out there. So Garrett sets a 127.9. So they're in the 127s. I do think, at this point, I think uh, they're lapping faster than we were in Division Three with the 127s. As you said, one low 128 was probably about you were pretty good.
Yeah, speaking of D3 talent, looks like Kaseb is reserving for AlphaTauri, and he just logged a 128.6.
And yeah,
So
he
not a bad showing there for our buddy.
he had a great race last in this last D3 race, and then at the season two finale in Singapore, he had a great race as well until he was unfortunately taken out. But he's showing his pace. He's showing he can be consistent. He got new materials, new upgrades to his sim rig and all things. And Sleek goes 127 flat, which is super fast. We were on board with him while he did that, and so you're about 9 tenths ahead of the next guy. And that's what I'm saying. These D1 guys coming down to D2, I do think their skill is going to show, because they may look kind of weak compared to the rest of the D1 guys, but make no mistake, they're still fast.
Yeah, like you kind of forget about the pace, OG. You know what I mean? Because they're just the competition's so stiff up there. You don't realize how fast these guys are compared to the rest of the league as a whole, right? I mean, it almost looks effortless here. He's got the 27 flat, and he's leading the field. So, yeah, that's definitely gonna be something to watch.
I'm wondering, once we get into Q2 or Q3, assuming there's no rain, as there was rain in our qualifying in Division 3, if there's no rain, if we can see him sneak into like the 126 sevens, I think that's just absolutely rapid. And really curious, see what kind of times they can pull out. They're going to be pushing each other. A lot of fast drivers here.
Yeah, Johannes here is finishing up Sector 3. He got a purple Sector 2, so he may be on pace for something quick.
And we're about to find
McLo-
out. And there he goes.
Wow.
So 127 flat, a little bit ahead of Sleek. And so that just goes to show that, they're both really high level drivers. And that's just like the first couple times. They're in Q1 right now, so they're not absolutely pushing, because you have 2 more qualifying sessions to go. And so you can only expect that those times are going to drop even more.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about hundredths, D1 guy coming down, D3 guy coming up, and they're separated by 700ths of a second in Q1. It's going to be a great year. Great season.
Oh, without a doubt. There's so many good, talented drivers this season. It's quite like last season, the field was just tight. Going into the final race, 5 different people could have won it. I expect to see something similar this season as well. Just super tight. And another driver I think people should look out for, one, Chris, I'm going to butcher this name. Sorry, Chris Bimister. He was Mr. Friday. He's super fast too, and his teammate, they're actually pretty good friends. Dan Gutta, he hasn't put a great time up yet, but Dan was super fast in Division 3 last year, so I expect him to compete for those top 10s in Division 2 as well. I feel like I could say that about everyone though, just
Yeah, Dan was very quick.
everyone could compete, and it's super intense.
I'm on board now with Dan going through turns 7 and 8, and I know we were talking earlier about how that can kind of make or break your lap, right? It's a really tricky hairpin. I know some drivers even adjust their differential kind of just for that part of the lap. So that seems to be challenging, the downshifts through cops and into Maggots and Beckett's now.
Yeah, he lifted quite a bit through cops. You want to take that out. You want to take that flat out, especially if you want to get into Q2. He's right on the edge right now. 2 places separate him. He's P16 going into this. He's going to finish this lap up. I expect it to be faster than a 129, but...
Yeah, he might be on pace for around 127 something. No?
Oh, it's even slower.
Hmm.
129.5, so he's just not having a great time right now. He's getting used to the track, feeling out the conditions. You know, it does change. Because if you look, it's a bit of an overcast right now, so the tires aren't exactly how you normally think they are. Everything's just a little bit weird.
Yeah, looks like he did get a little bit of a slower exit out of those last 2 turns. Because I thought he could be on pace there, but yeah, kind of lifting through cops. And I was surprised too while watching Q2 and Q3 in Division 3. There are quite a few drivers actually that do run it like that. So I'm not sure if they just run like lower downforce and sacrifice the lifting on there to get a little bit more beef in the DRS zones. Not sure of the strategy, but also was under the impression that it's best to take that flat out.
Yeah, and I would assume so as well, but that may just be like the one of those separating things. You know, you see in Division 1 everyone's gonna take it flat out. In Division 2, you know, a couple like half of everybody's gonna take it flat out. And then Division 3, it's a little bit more rare. So it just goes to show like the level of progression you get as you go up the league, and in terms of how much faster they can be, how much quicker they can take each turn and stuff.
I think it evolved during the race too. I know I would lift a little bit towards the end of my tire life. I started at mediums and towards lap 14, 15, 16, uh, you got to stay in it.
And Dan Good puts another lap, but it's just a 129.2. I think he's just going for laps right now. He's on his 5th lap. Just trying to get used to the track, I think. Maybe he knows he's not going to make it um, into the next qualifying session. So he's just trying to get, his feet under him a little bit. Um, but I don't know.
Looks like Cole just started a heater.
What with him? And so while we're on board with Cole, I'm going to talk about 2 drivers who have yet to set a time yet in Trip and Sid. You know, Sid is a D1 level talent, but I felt like we said that, every race, but he would put himself in horrible situations where he just wouldn't have a great quality, and he'd end up in the back of the pack just due to his quality and had to play catch up the whole year. And I'm hoping he starts off, he gets into Q3 this year and starts off on the right foot and doesn't kind of repeat those mistakes this season. Cole might be he's out of the session. He crashes
Oh,
in cops. You got to have that steering angle perfectly right. He might have a concussion after that.
that
Yeah,
was a nasty one.
yeah.
Tough. He's sitting there at P15 too, so he was on the edge. It did look like he was kind of improving there, um, and he finds himself out. So, OG, I do have a little bit of info on the weather report. Looks like throughout qualifying, we're at about a 20% chance in rain. It's kind of going to go up as we escalate to Q2 and Q3. So we'll see, because there were some raindrops there at the end of Session 2 and Session 3 and D3. We saw some guys go at inters way towards the end, and it definitely affected the grip, especially going into a high-speed corner like Cops.
Yeah, it did, and it felt like, especially in that Q3, whoever sets a lap first is going to be at the advantage, and it was the case. Raz, he did have a great lap, um, and that put him on pole, um, but as the conditions got worse and worse, it became almost impossible to challenge for it. And so he got pole very early on. So I'm wondering if we might see the same thing in these next qualifying sessions. People are just going to rush out and try to get their lap as soon as possible. And we mentioned it, the Alpine is super strong. And they're looking at right now with Ethan and Johannes P1 and P3. So yeah, if that holds, the constructors might not be that close. I assume the drivers is going to be close, but the constructors really might not.
Yeah, the Alpine's looking really strong really early. And, I mean, look, we're at the earliest point of the season, right? Q1, race 1, but they're looking strong right off the bat. I'm on with Big Mama Frank here, currently in P13, about to finish his hot lap, and I think he's looking a bit quicker.
I hope so. I saw he went wide at Cops, and I don't know if that maybe lost him a little bit of time. He's going to go 128.4, and so he drops
Just
at
quicker.
10th. Puts him into that zone where he will make Q2, assuming things stand as they are. But again, 2 drivers haven't set a time, and Dan Good, I'm expecting, is going to set a much faster time.
Yeah, so Dan on the bubble here, and I know that Sid. Oh, did Sid get on? There was talk that he may not be able to make it to Q1, but it does look like he's out now for his outlap, and he should be able to put something in.
I'm expecting Sid. This is gonna be his first lap. I expect him to jump into the top 10. We do have a D3 guy, K-Seb, representing with a pretty good lap, 127.8. If he can keep that up, I hope he can make it into Q3 as well. That'd be super impressive. As Sid starts his lap, going into turn 1, just perfect almost. And this little turn right here messes me up all the time. It messed him up. He went, missed the
Little deep.
apex, went super deep, yeah. And that's where that's where I seem to lose most of my time. It's just such a hard corner to get right, I feel like.
It is, yeah. I like to go in second, kind of into that second part of the turnout, and try to get out as quick as I can. And here going into 6, 7, and 8 is challenging as well. You want to carry a lot of speed into 6, and then get a good exit, of course, coming out to 8.
And then yeah, those corners right there, you've gotta have a great exit. And we're gonna see what he does at Cops. He lifts a lot.
Lifts. He did lift a lot. Now he hasn't even have a lap on board yet, right? Or so maybe he's just trying to get a banker in, and
just a banker.
Did he fuel for 2?
I would hope so. He doesn't have a lot of time. He can't put on a fresh set of tires, so he has to go for the second one. Because he's running a 107 right now through Sector 2. He's got to set a second time. So I assume that's what he'll do. Maybe he'll just sit it out. I don't know. Sid does make some weird choices sometimes, but he ends up at the front of the pack during the race, so obviously he knows something we don't. But yeah, here he goes on his second heater.
Dan Gouda here up 0.6 through Sector 2. So he's on pace to set something a little bit better. And maybe he could put Dome on the bubble. Because right now with Cole in P15, we're set to have a Q2 with 14 drivers.
Yeah, I don't know what... I mean, we're going to see where he goes. He's a little bit of traffic with Drip.
Ooh!
Barely. And Dan does move Dome back. That could have been a disaster. His Drip's out of the session. Just a weird little spot for his car to be in, I think.
Yeah. I'm hoping it didn't affect him too much. Although, you look at the difference between NVA and Dan Gouda, and it's less than a 10. It's 300ths. Right? Now, I don't think, we made 15 seconds left. They're probably both through. But as Bim Bom and Frank goes 12th and puts Dan on the bubble.
So you got to look out for right now. Sid is on his hot lap right now. No one, if you're on track, you can complete your lap, but no one else can go out right now. So Sid is the deciding factor for this. Is he going to kick Dan out? I don't know. As he comes through the final couple corners, carries a lot of speed, a lot more speed than I can.
Good cut.
And he goes 127.6, goes P4.
Wow.
And there he is. Dan's P15 right now.
Great lap by Sid last minute. And he wasn't even on track till there was 4 minutes left in the session.
Yeah, the guy's a different breed. He didn't even set a real time at first. Just kind of messing around, feeling it out, and then goes and sets a 127.6. It's a great lap.
These guys from the draft, from the top end of the draft, are representing hard in Q1. Alpine, Ferrari, Red Bull. Really good.
And I believe that will finish up our qualifying session. Johannes P1, Sleek P2, Ethan Patel P3. And I think it'll be Dan Gouda, Cole, Dome, Drip, and Florida who do not make it to the next session. Everyone else will advance. Got a couple people, you did mention it. It's super close. P5 and P11 are all within like a tenth and a half. And so
yeah,
it's really anyone's game heading into Q2 and in Q3.
I wonder if we'll see someone get into the 126s here in Q2, right? Do you think they banked a little bit here to try to let it all out later? Although we might see some medium tire runners here this round, so maybe in Q3, not so much Q2.
So I think it depends on if it does rain, I feel like you would prefer the softs just to get that a lot more grip in the rain, in the wet compared to what the mediums will have. Obviously, like if it's raining too much, they'll put on the inters. But if it was similar conditions to what they had in Q3 of Division 3, I feel like the softs would be better. I feel like the mediums you just lose too much time on a wet track.
Yeah.
But you know these guys are super fast and you know, they may be able to make up that difference between the softs and
This
mediums.
the strategy is close in Silverstone too, right? I mean, soft, medium, medium, soft. They're it's almost a matter of just preference. Um, I don't know which one you noticed maybe being quicker than another, but I noticed that they were pretty. It's pretty much a standard one stop, and you could go wrong with either way.
Yeah, I think that was yeah, that was the theme for Division 3. You know, the one stop no matter what. It's only 26 laps, you know, you can't afford to do a two stop. Um, but yeah, I felt, you know, I was passing drivers that did a soft to medium and I was passing drivers that did a medium to soft and then it was vice versa. People were passing me that did medium to soft and soft to medium. So, it was I feel like you're right. It's just personal preference. Um, whoever's feeling what. If you like starting on the mediums, then that's probably what you'll go to. But I don't know. Is NVA's on the mediums right now? I'm gonna see who all else is on the mediums. What kind of tire? So we got a lot of medium runners: Big Mom Frank, Sleek, Shaggy, Sandunga, Garrett, NVA, Dan Gooden, and Mr. Friday, aka Chris Beimster. Beam, Bimister? I don't know. Buffalo, do you know
B
how to say?
Mister.
There we go. Mister. There we go.
I'd really like to see K-Seb screw around here and get into Q3.
Yeah, I would love to see that as well. You know, fellow Honda boy. Um, We may have swapped seats this season. Last season he was in the Red Bull, I was in the AlphaTauri. This season he's in the AlphaTauri, I'm in the Red Bull. And I'd really love to see him get into Q3. I think it'd show out for Division 3. Um, so we're not as far behind as, you know, I think a lot of people think we are. Don't get me wrong, they got some fast guys in here, but D3
Yeah.
is no pushover either.
No, you guys at the top of D3, man, are quite quick themselves.
NBA first one to complete his outlap. He's coming in to the final few turns, brakes about at the line, you know, setting himself up for a great exit going into turn one. You know, I feel kind of uneducated right now. You know, this is such a historic track, and I really only know the names of three corners. You know, Cobbs, Maggots, and Beckett's. I don't. I wish I could, you know, tell them all, but I just don't.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Maybe I'll set it as a goal as a broadcaster here for D2 to start learning, right? Because you know the famous ones at Spa, right? You know the Kemmel Straight, and
Yeah,
actually, is that the only one I know? So
the bus
we'll
stop
try to.
chicane. I
Although,
know that. I know that one.
yeah,
But
Sid lost a little bit on his heater. He'll have to come back in.
so NBA is another guy. You know, he showed out. He actually did. You mentioned Spa. He showed out. He was in the Division 3 race at Spa, and you know he did great. I think you know. Don't quote me. I'm not 100%, but I'm fairly certain he got P2 in that race, right behind Johannes. And so he was looking super promising, and he got promoted into D2. And then since then he fell back a little bit. And I'm expecting this season for his confidence to rise again because I do think he is, you know, top 10 level material. Um, so I expect to see that. Hopefully this race, maybe the rest of the season.
Yeah, he was kind of middle of the pack D2, but definitely a D1 talent. I know he plays on controller as well. Um, we were teamed there with Alfa Romeo for that Spa race, and yeah, he is quick.
So he goes 128.2 on the mediums, which is pretty good. We're gonna see who else is next. Maybe Josh. And we're going on to Brian Hackman. And he's diving into the pits. So Chris coming to the line. Can he beat a 128.2? He cannot goes 128.7.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be enough to get into Q3 with these guys, but we'll see
So Alex goes
as the time
128
to come
flat, but
in.
he is on the softs. Keep that in mind. He's on the softs. P1 right now. And my driver to look out for, Shaggy Muffin. He's about to set his time on the mediums. Goes 128, 128.2. So right behind MVA. And I'm wondering if a lot of these medium runners are going to feel they might be on the bubble and swap to the softs.
Yeah, I'm on with Big Mama Frank right now. Just carried a lot of speed through 6, 7, and 8.
As
Really good coming
MVA
into that
goes
straight as he prepares to go into cops.
MVA goes under the 128, 127.9. And I'm on board with Big Mama Frank's teammate right now, Mr. Sandunga, as he comes final couple corners to his first time of Q2. It's about 128 flat. So that seems to be around the pace on the mediums, 128 flat, high, 127, at least for right now. I'm sure as the session goes on, we'll see faster and faster.
Looked like Big Mama Frank was going quick, but I think he invalidated and just aborted.
And K-Seb on the softs, messed up his first lap, going 141. Coming to the line on his real lap, still not a great time. I guess he messed up again, 136. He's putting a lot of laps on these tires, so I'm assuming he's gonna hopefully go in on this lap and switch to another set of softs.
He's not low on fuel yet, so I wonder if he was just trying to get a few in a row.
I mean, it's super risky doing that in Q2 because, right now he's in P8. What if the guys behind him, some freak accident happens and he has to start on some older tires? Luckily he's only 2 laps right now, but I hope he's not doing just putting lap after lap on that.
Yeah, on the bubble early with the Alpines and a Ferrari yet to set a time, so not safe by any means.
And we're on board with the Red Bull of Garrett Elder, 146.2 last time. Oh, loses it a little bit. And we're back to being normal. Had to lift a little bit. Had a lot of time to gain to that second sector, I think. But he's picked up in this third sector. Coming to the line in a couple corners. I expect... I don't know. Oh, some time loss right there. 128 flat? No, 128.4. So he's in the top 5 for right now. But there's a lot of people who haven't set their lap yet, so keep that in mind.
Yep, Johannes on his first heater as well. I'm on board with him. Just at a purple sector 1. He's on softs.
So that just goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's preference. Some of these fastest, one of the fastest guys, at least that I know, he's on the softs. You got other super fast guys on the medium. So I think you were right. I do think it's just got to be personal preference.
Ooh, almost lost it a little bit through Magnus and Beckett. Looked like he slipping and sliding. Carried a lot of speed though. Still looks really purple sector 2.
Yeah, he went on 103.2 through the first 2 sectors, which is super, super fast. So I'm expecting a 127.5 is what I'm predicting. Is Brian Hackman on the mediums goes 127.7.
Wow.
And he goes 127 flat. So he was flying right there. He'll definitely break into the 126s, I think, there in Q3.
Good lap. Clean all the way around, carried speed in all the right corners. That was great.
And if you're him, I'm getting back to the pits as safely as I can, and I'm just sitting there. I don't think anyone's gonna get down. I don't think 10 people are gonna get down to the 127 flats.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So.
Yeah. His teammate, though, Ethan Patel, just invalidated there coming out of turn 8. So he'll have to go back in and reset it with only 5 minutes to go in Q2.
So he's got to get that time in, got to get a time on board. And we'll see where he ends up. As it stands right now, Johannes, Brian Hackman, NVA, Alex, Mr. Sandunga, and then the 2 Red Bulls of Shaggy and Garrett, followed by the D3 boy, K-Seb, Chris, B-Mister, and Dan Gutta round out the top 10. On the outside looking in, you got Josh Barnsley, Sleek, who had a great Q3, or Q1, sorry. I expect him to definitely fix that weird lap right there with 139. And then Ethan Patel, Big Mom Frank, and Sid, also everyone there super fast. So it'll be interesting who gets kicked out and who gets to stay. As Sleek does go P2 right there, 127.6 on the mediums.
Fastest medium time so far for Sleek. Sid coming out of his outlap right now and will begin his first heater of the session. Man, he likes to wait long
He
later
really
in the sessions
does.
to get going, doesn't he?
He really does. And I don't know why.
Cuts turn 1 perfectly.
I'm currently on board with your pick, Big Mama Frank. As he's setting, he won a 104.2, so that's about a second off of Johannes's first 2 sectors. So he's got time to make up in this 3rd sector right here. Big Mama Frank, can you do it? Can you get into Q3 with this time? Coming to the line, he's going 125, 126, 127, 128.3. I wouldn't feel safe if I'm running a 128.3 right there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a lot of time left, but you're pretty spot on with that analysis. That's about 1.3 seconds away from Johannes. So he lost most of his time there through the first 2 sectors and then just a 10th in the 3rd. I'm on with Sid as he starts sector 3 right now. He finished the first 2 at a 104.1.
So that's a little bit faster than what we just saw from Big Mama. Big Mama went a 104.2. And so it'll be interesting to see how he finishes this up in this sector 3, if he can do what Big Mama Frank couldn't.
Wow, between 5 and 8, right?
And he does. He goes 128.2, and he's on the mediums as well. And so, yeah, Ethan Patel still hasn't set his lap yet. Everyone else has a lap on board. And we have 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left in this session. Bottom 5 will get eliminated.
K-Seb currently on the outside looking in. As Chris B-Mister just goes P10, so now K-Seb and Garrett Elder on the outside looking in, with Ethan Patel yet to set a lap.
And if I'm Chris, I'm super nervous because you saw Garrett and you saw K-Seb got into the 127s in that last qualifying session, and they're on the softs. You're going 128.3. K-Seb went 127.7. So he can do it. It's just a question of if he'll put it together.
Ethan Patel just invalidated again.
Oh. If I'm Ethan, I'm looking at the board. Your time to beat right now. You want to probably get around 128 flat. I think he can do that. He's on the mediums. I think he can do that. I don't think he has to push as hard as possible. I'd save that for Q3. Because you got to get a time on board. Got to get a time on board. As Sid goes P4, 127.7 on those mediums. As Big Mom Frank is retired from the session.
So he'll sit in P9. I guess he would have had time to go out on outlap and come back in. So he's on the bubble too.
Yeah, a lot of guys on the bubble. I feel like, any of the guys on the outside could definitely get in there. Yeah, it's gonna be tight trying to get into Q3.
It's like Ethan Patel had another slide or something. He lost a lot of time after comps coming into Maggots and Beckett's. He's got a 1 minute 15 through sector 1 and 2. And that's not going to be enough
No, he's gonna
to
need that.
make it.
He's got one more lap in him after this. But this is it. You can't invalidate again. Can't make another mistake. This is it. This is your final lap coming up. You got to show out. Great into turn 1. You can continue that for the rest of sector 1. Hits the apex. Hits the apex on the throttle early. Doesn't lose it either. Not a lot of wheel spin as we go down in the first DRS zone. Coming up in, someone correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is Brooklyn's. I don't know. I think this is Brooklyn's. 1, 2, 3 little pegs at the end, Sasha's curbs. Is full throttle again, coming up to Cops. We'll see where he ends up. Qualifying is over if you're not on track right now. Flat out through Cops on the mediums.
Dan Gouda improves just a little bit, only good enough for P13.
Oh, Shaggy Muffin goes P2. K-Seb goes P3.
Whoa!
There we go, K-Seb.
Wow, at the last minute.
So K-Seb is going to make it in.
The AlphaTauri Reserve bumps both Mercs out of Q3.
And that's what you like to see. That's just Honda power right there.
Shame.
Ethan Patel coming to the line, goes 1:27.7, makes it into Q3, P6. And
wow, did he do that on purpose? Did he put all that pressure on himself on purpose? Because then he just banged out a 1:27.7 on mediums. I mean, that was cutting it close.
That was cutting it super close. We got Toto Rivas mentioning in the chat, sad Mercedes noises, super sad. If you are Toto Rivas, if you're Duncan McCamick right now, you're on your feet, you're clapping. And you're wondering if I should move K-Seb up to Division 2, because look at the guys he's around right now. Johannes, Shaggy Muffin. Then he goes K-Seb, then former Division 1 driver Sleek. Like, look at who he's around right now. He's flying. That's just Division 3 showing out.
Interesting strategy call, too. They were on the bubble. They started with mediums, and they both ended up getting knocked out.
That is just a gamble you take. But I mean, it is a long race. I started in P15. Axelized he actually got crashed out at one point and was down to P17 I think at one point. And he ended up in P2. So it is a long race. Qualifying is important, but it's not the end all be all. They'll have plenty of time in the race to make up for it.
Easy for OG to say, right? Mr. Driver of the Day, getting up to P3, but you're spot on too. Both you and Axelize had incredible pace today too in the D3 race. I could see him moving up to D2 before long.
He definitely has the pace. And then the Driver of the Day in D3, I know we're in Division 2, but I think the real Driver of the Day in D3 was Siggy, man. That was my rival all last season. We were about, neck and neck for pace. I'd win this race, he'd win this one. But he absolutely stomped today. He was 20 seconds ahead of me, and formerly, before he was like half a second. So I don't know what he did over the off season, but whatever he did, it worked. That guy turned into an alien this weekend.
Might have been the same thing that K-Seb did.
Yeah, I mean, we got to ask him afterwards. K-Seb getting to Q3. And I can't remember where K-Seb ended up in qualifying of Division 3, but I'm curious and I'm excited. I hope he does. I hope he somehow gets a better position in this Division 2 qualifying than he did in the Division 3.
Yeah.
And the driver we haven't really talked about much is Alex. He's kind of been flying under the radar a little bit. Q1, at one point he was pretty high up there. Q2, I think he put provisional pole, one of the first guys to set a time when he was on the softs, I believe. He's flying under the radar right now. He's the only Aston Martin in Q3. So it's a pretty good spot for an Aston Martin right now. I'm curious to see, maybe he and K-Seb can, they're the underdogs right now. If they can pull out something special.
Yeah, Alex has flown under the radar. He's got incredible pace. I think he's a repeat Aston Martin driver too. Didn't he drive for AM last year as well? Interesting
think
note
so.
too, not to harp on Toto Rivas too much, but he's the only Mercedes driver to make it into Q3.
Maybe, I mean, he just didn't see the talent that was right in front of him, I guess. Maybe Alex should have gone uh, first pick. I don't know what's going on here, but we will find out. Um, but yeah, so this is Toto Reeves' guy right now, Alex, Merc powered. We'll see what he can do. I'm noticing Josh has quite the interesting nickname in the chat right now, as Toto Reeves not playing nice is calling him Josh Toilet Paper Barnsley, and I don't know the history to that. I don't know what's that about, but Toto Reeves is kind of hostile to his fellow competitors.
Yeah, big yikes. Could be bothered a little bit by his team's performance here so far. Taking it out on Josh.
Yeah, taking it out on Josh for no reason, really. Maybe Josh stole a couple of drivers of his. Uh, they are the team captains. Maybe Josh. I don't know who stole. Maybe he wanted Sid. Maybe he wanted Sleek. I don't know. All right,
There's
Buffalo.
Sid in his usual place
Yeah, in the
in the
pits.
pits here in the first part of Q3. He'll come out with 4 minutes left and put in a banger of a lap.
All right, Buffalo. Here's my question for you. Who is getting pole, and what will the time be?
I think Johannes is going to get pole. I think he's just in every type of race qualifying situation we've seen him in, he's just got an incredible talent. And I think we're going to see, I don't know, it's tough. 126.5? Right? Did he leave a little more in the tank?
I think it's definitely possible, as Alex goes 128.2, Ryan Hackman 127.4, Sleek 127.4 as well. I don't. He said a purple sector one. We're gonna see where Ethan Patel ends up, his Alpine teammate,
Kind of
and
glad
he
that
goes
Sleek,
127.1.
yeah, I'm kind of glad that Sleek is in D2 because we get to see more of him here, selfishly, and he's quick.
Yeah, he's super fast. And that's just how it is, like moving down from a division or moving up. We got a couple of those guys moving up from Division 3. We saw Dan Gutta. Mr. Sanduka was in there for a little bit, but I think he was primarily a reserve. But Big Mama Frank as well. Those are D3 guys from last season. They're moving up, and they're not into Q3 right now. And it just goes to show the pace difference is not massive, but it is enough. Maybe it's just circumstantial. Sleek's been there. He's done that. He knows how to be fast, when, where, and just the experience from Division 1.
Johannes puts in the top lap, and here we go again. Both Alpines now sitting 1-2. So they're looking very strong here. We start to wrap up qualifying for the first race of the season.
Yeah, we got 6.5 minutes left of Q3, and those Alpine boys right now are neck and neck. You can say they're separated by a couple of hundreds, whatever, but in my eyes, if you watch that lap side by side, it's virtually the same. And they're 3/10 ahead of Sleek, who's super fast.
I'm on with K-Seb now. He went a little bit wide through Cops. Looks a little bit slower than usual here in Maggots and Beckett's. What will his Sector 2 time be? 104.2. There's about a second behind Johannes so far. We'll see if he can make up some time.
K-Seb, he's got 5 minutes left, so this doesn't have to be the lap. but it sure would be nice if it was. As he comes in line, 125, 126, 127. No, he goes 128.3. So he's probably going to he's going to have to maybe rush back, put on another set of tires, new softs, if he has them. And hopefully try to, emulate his first 2 qualifying session performances.
Yeah, I think he has the fuel to do another one, but he kind of got held up a little bit by Jared Elder, who was trying to get out of the way, who quietly just put up a 127.1. So he's inserted himself in between both Alpines.
Garrett, I think was a sleeper pick as well. He's coming down from Division 1, along with Shaggy Muffin and Sleek, and I don't want to say afterthought, because no one is really an afterthought in that division. Everyone has tremendous potential, but they weren't fighting for those top 5 positions, and so maybe some people forgot about them every once in a while, but they come down here and they show they are that guy.
Yeah.
And with about 4 minutes remaining, Buffalo, do you think Johannes still holds on to it?
Yeah, he might. I'm kind of wondering if one of the Ferraris tries to get up into the front row. They're both on an outlap right now. Fleek will be setting his second one, and Sid will be setting his first. I wonder if they can nick a front row spot from one of these guys.
Yeah, I think they definitely have potential. We've noted, they're both D1 level talents. Oh, I don't know. It's so competitive here, and that's just what you love to see at Division 2. It's really competitive. Ever since this redraft of the start of the season, I understand they haven't raced quite yet, but on paper, each division is looking so much more competitive than they were last season. They were pretty competitive last season, so just great competition, super tight throughout all 3 divisions, and I think anyone could steal this pole from anyone.
Yeah, I will say though, if Johannes does get pole, I think he wins the race.
Yeah, it is a one stop. There's not a lot. There's no pit strategy really.
No. Fleek just put up fastest sector 1 as he comes into cops.
Oh, and he invalidates.
Oh!
No. We're going on to the next Ferrari hope of Sid. As Sid completes sector 1. Doesn't go purple, but goes 127.5.
Yeah, he must have messed up in his last lap. He's sitting at a 144, but that's definitely not right. They were just much gone out of somebody's way or what.
So you mentioned if Johannes gets pole, you think he's running away. I'm going to counter that with this. Last season, Ethan Patel, he had a lot of great finishes, but, and he'll tell you this, he mentioned it before, he wasn't a great qualifying. I think Joel Guron had quoted it as saying he's a qualifying choke artist. So if he had resolved those issues, as Sid goes purple sector 2, 103 something, if he had resolved those issues, he's a great racer, super fast, lots of pace in the race. I don't think it'll be as easy as maybe Johannes is used to, at least.
Well, the good news for Alpine is that those are both of their boys. So they're in great position.
That's
regardless.
True. As Sid goes provisional pole 127.1. So look at that. What is that? 6 thousandths separating?
6,000.
That is unbelievable.
There it is. I love watching this guy. I mean, he sits in qualifying for the first 10 minutes of the session, comes out, he bangs out a 144. You're like, oh, that was a mistake. And then he comes in and sets pole by 6 thousandths of a second.
Like, yeah, that is nuts. So, yeah, look at that top 4 right there. So unbelievably close.
Yeah. Someone we haven't talked about a lot, OG, is Josh Barnsley, who's setting another hot lap now. He doesn't have a valid time so far this session. This will be his one and only.
Oh, as Johannes goes 126.7. He said, Oh my goodness. He said, sorry, Sid. So that one 126.7. Yeah, that's rapid.
Wow.
I think Lenny called it. Lenny said he's gonna go in the mid 126, and he did. And oh, dang it! So, yeah, that's just fast, 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 fast. This qualifying's got 10 seconds left. Those drivers come to the line. Josh Barnsley goes 128.1. We're gonna see where everyone's up. Everyone is on track right now, aside from I believe one person, and that's Sid, who's in his place. And we're on Ethan
Aaron
Patel.
Elder. Go ahead.
I was just saying, in these practice sessions and in time trial, Ethan Patel went like a 126.3, so he has the potential to get pole right here. And I didn't see his first two sectors. I don't know what the time is going to be coming to the
Gonna be
line,
close.
but coming to the line, he, he
Oh,
just, you know, it's so hard to improve when you're at a 127.1. But dang, that's fast.
wow. Look at those front two rows. I mean, if you look at, so what is it, 2, 3, and 4, OG, are separated by 0.033 seconds.
Yeah,
That's what we're looking at.
right there. I couldn't like that's such a tiny difference. Like you couldn't point at anyone's lap and be like, that's why you were
No, you don't know where they
12
lost time. I'll
12
tell you what,
thousandths or whatever.
if I'm Josh Barnsley and I'm looking at 4 of my 6 drivers here in Q3, including a front row, I'm pretty happy camper.
Yeah, no, he's smiling right now. He's cheesing, maybe kicking his feet up. He is in the pits, but there you go. A lot of Ferrari, and our boy K-Seb, he didn't have the same qualifying performance as his first two sessions. He showed out in those two, but he did make it into Q3 in Division 2, P10 with a 128.3, not far off of Josh Barnsley, who's 128.1.
Yeah, anything can happen in the race. I mean, we've seen it. He's clean. He's got great racecraft. He could certainly contend for a top 5 finish today, depending on how it all unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, but those top 5, it'll take something. Those top 5 are deadly. Sleek is in 5th position with the 127.2. That's unreal. Unreal. So you gotta wonder who's gonna get the good start here. Johannes still needs a good start off the line. Gotta have warm tires.
Yep.
And it's a super chaotic turn one. I think it's relatively narrow, and it hits you relatively fast as well. Like basically it feels like right after you go throttle and the lights go out, it feels like you're already ready to turn. And so
I
it's
know.
easy to get caught up.
Yeah, you have to be careful because you're watching your revs and try to get up to speed as quick as possible. And then all of a sudden you have turn 1. So you got to be really careful.
As we wait for all the drivers to get ready, we got the formation lap coming up. So if you're watching right now, go to the bathroom, go get a drink. Make sure you like and subscribe as we come in. You saw that amazing qualifying. People are separated by a tenth, first is 4 tenths ahead, but second through fifth separated by a tenth. It's just unreal. So make sure you like and subscribe. Go get a drink. Go to the bathroom. Anything you think they should do, Buffalo?
I think they should just get ready for a banger of a race.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, first one of the season, and it's just going to set the scene for the whole year. I'm curious who stands out. I'm curious who kind of falls behind and who exceeds expectations.
So far, we saw mentioned it in Q1. Sid and Ethan had struggled. I don't want to say we're struggling, but they had struggled in qualifying in the previous season. and it seems, they're P2 and what, P3 right now. So if they've rectified those issues, it's just gonna be an amazing, amazing season. I'm super excited to cast it with you, Buffalo. I'm super excited for everyone to watch it at home as well.
Hey man, same here. We got first two rows are just packed with talent, like a good mix of teams up front, and an iconic track. So we'll see. D3 had no safety cars as well as we get the formation lap started. So that may bode for a pretty clean race.
Yeah, and I don't want to say I was surprised by it, um, but there were relatively few incidences, and I was at least expecting more carnage going into turn one. But we felt like me and you we were towards the back of the grid, and so we got kind of a great shot at everything that was happening in front of us. Um, and I felt like everyone did pretty good. Everyone that was held their line, didn't hit anybody really. There was one person that I think fell out of order, but it was pretty
Yeah, a
clean.
little bit of a spin out, but most drivers are kind of able to at least navigate through that cleanly. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that kind of set the scene for you and Axel Eyes to make a run towards the front.
Yeah, it was just while the other guys were kind of, and we may see it here, like through Big Mama Frank and maybe even Cole down there. The guys. I think what happened was, there's these drivers around and they're fighting each other, and they're not fully aware of the drivers that are coming up, and so we would just take advantage of that, take advantage of the people who are fighting, be super opportunistic, and I think you can do that here, especially in the top five. Those guys are so close in pace, they're going to be fighting each other, and so if Brian Hackman's there, they're slowing each other down while they're fighting. Brian Hackman may be able to just sneak in there while it happens. Shaggy Muffin as well. They all have an opportunity to do that.
Interesting too, OG. Where do you think the good passing opportunities really are on this track? Because the first DRS zone is really kind of too short for it, right? And then the second one going into cops, you have to be careful because if you take the inside, you kind of have to let off, and then you can lose a lot of time going into those S's. So, is it really just the third DRS zone is the best, or?
So I mean that last DRS zone is like is so powerful. DRS is unbelievable right there. Um, so I do think that is the best, but there are, I think, pretty good spots. Turn, I think it's three. Um, you can have some late braking, and then coming into the final two turns, I think as there's a car ghosted driving straight ahead. Don't know what that's about.
Little formation lap sync issue.
So that's Drip, I believe. If we hop on board with him, yeah, I don't know what's going on right there. Hope we don't have to restart the session for that. But
You know, I thought I saw him maybe like just hop on a couple seconds ago. Maybe he rejoined the lobby and is just late to his formation lap.
I've still never
And
seen
so are they
anything
letting him
like
do it?
that. I thought the robot, the AI, would just do it for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, your last guy to the line is gonna be Drip. He had unfortunate um, kind of season last season. We felt like he was spinning out or getting hit almost every race, and
Yeah.
he stayed in D2 luckily, trying to prove his worth, trying to prove that he does belong there, and maybe I don't know, maybe he's doing that right now, just trying to set a couple laps, get the spotlight a little bit.
Yeah. I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that it's just Drip finishing up his formation lap late. We'll see if it carries him in kind of after the last few turns. And then we don't have to reset.
So something I am curious about, I know there have been issues with this in the past where maybe he's a lap up or a lap down on everyone. And so I
Hmm.
hope that's not the case here. It's just the game is just it's frustrating sometimes.
Yeah. Hmm. We might be okay.
I hope so. Everyone's loading in. Garrett Elder, last one to load in. There we go. And everyone's loading in again. Never mind. Um, great. There we go. Oh, so we didn't even get to see the start, but we get to see Johannes
Wow.
Johannes stays in the lead by quite a comfortable margin. Sit right behind Garrett Elder P3. Ethan Patel now P3. Garrett Elder got overtaken during that. So Shaggy Muffin still P7. Josh Barnsley goes ahead of Alex up into P8. It's chaos kind of in the back, but no crashes. No one's out of the race yet. People are making tons of positions left, right, and center. But your leader. Oh, is there's chaos in the back? What in the world was that? K-Seb, our Division 3 heroes
Oh,
out of the race. I just saw there was like 4 or 5 cars that just went off onto the grass right there. So that's your first safety car
ooh,
of the season. Unreal start. I don't know what happened. I'm very curious to see what's going to go on. We're going to
yeah,
hop aboard with the people in the very back, see if they got wing damage or anything.
yeah, that was a really funky start. We were blind for a lot of it. Really great job kind of catching up on the fly, OG. I saw big losers I saw so far, of course, K-Seb, and then Brian Hockerman lost 9 spots, now in P15. So curious how we decide to kind of move forward with that. Couple big winners, Big Mama Frank up 4 places, and Dome up 6 to P11.
Yeah, Dome didn't have a great qualifying session, but it's the race that matters. Anything can happen on Sunday too. So he didn't make it into Q2, but he's already up into P11 right now. And the VSC is over. I believe that's Chris gonna make a move on Cole, and it looks like it doesn't make it though. And Ethan Patel right behind Sid. And yeah, they're just super close all the way around. As Dan Gooda had to pit, so Dan Gooda had wing damage. And someone else is off. Is that Dome? Ah, we cursed him, Buffalo. He's off. He's off.
So he's kind of back to where he started there. So we are going to go ahead and push on with the lobby as is. It looks like Danguda may have a little bit of wing damage. He's in the pits. Mr. Sanduga has a touch of wing damage as well. We'll see if he tries to push through it. He's sitting in P13 right now.
So we look at.
And sometimes
Go
when
on.
it's that low, OG, the telemetry it still shows green, right? So he may not even know he's got a little bit of damage. And he may find out, he finds out a little bit through turn 8. I mean, he went a little bit wide there. He might know now.
Yeah, and Sid, he's already outside of a second of Johannes. And so your prediction, as it stands right now, was correct. Johannes gets pole, he's going to run away as the rest fight for it. That's what it's looking
Yeah,
like
you
right
saw
now.
Sid. You saw Sid use a lot of ERS to try to stay within a second, but I'm sure Johannes did the exact same thing to try to keep him at bay. We'll see, but anything can happen here, of course, in a pet strategy too. But Johannes is already got about almost 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, Johannes went on 129 something on lap 3 with high fuel loads. I don't know exactly what the fastest lap for us was, but I think it was around there in Division 3. But the rest of the field's pretty tight. You got Shaggy Muffin, Sleek, NVA, and then Josh Barnsley, who are all like really close coming to this first DRS on lap 3, first DRS zone. I'm assuming, that we're going to get a couple of overtakes right here. Maybe NVA overtakes Sleek, but the DRS train's too powerful for right now. Coming up the cups.
Train going here.
Yeah, the train, it is super powerful, but this next DRS zone, I don't want to say like setup dependent, but I feel like it is. If you have lower wings, you can overcome the train, but it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. And it almost seems like a lot of drivers have kind of different lines going through Maggots and Beckett's, and so the DRS trains can kind of get shuffled up in this section, and you almost you can lose time or gain time really fast, but you really have to adjust to the car around you on the fly.
Yeah, you do. It's because there's so many different lines you can take as well, and they all set you up kind of differently. Some of you can just fly through the corner, like through the S's, and you have a little bit worse exit going to that straight. And some you don't fly as well through the S's, and you have a better exit, so it can just shake things up a little bit. But I don't know. It can be weird.
Chris B. Mister was the really nice pass on Cole Clemens through Stowe. They'll try to close that gap to Brian Hockerman. It's in at 1.6 so far.
as Johannes is almost up to 2-second gap ahead of Sid.
Yeah, and Sid himself threatening to pull away from Ethan Patel.
Yeah, so Sid's fighting for his life trying to get up to Johannes, and by doing that, he's pulling almost 2 seconds ahead of Ethan.
Yeah. Alex is within DRS range of Big Mama Frank, but he lifted off heavy going into Cops.
So Shaggy Muffin will have DRS on Garrett Elder, and I don't know if I don't think Garrett has it. Oh, he did. He barely,
He does.
he snuck it in. That was a close one, and that may have
That's
saved him
huge.
from getting overtaken on this lap.
Alex in the P9 now after a really strong Sector 2. He was able to pull ahead of Frank.
And these guys, dude, they're still so close together from like Ethan all the way down to NBA right now. Even Josh is right there, and then, Alex, he's a little bit further back, but from Ethan to Josh is pretty tight knit.
Well, we can see him close a gap, right? So Alex started P6, so we know he's got the pace of the top 10 guys. So I wonder if he can maybe start to close the gap, or will the train be too much?
See, the
right
issue,
now, he's trying to defend against Frank.
Yeah, if they're fighting right now, and we're gonna hop on board with them, if they're fighting, they're gonna slow each other down, and they will have DRS on each other, but I don't know. Those other guys aren't fighting as much as these two are. They're scrapping it out right now for P9, and that DRS train, it's so hard to catch up. If one of them gets out of DRS, like if Alex gets out of DRS of Big Mama Frank, as Big Mama Frank goes crazy wide, and as you say, I don't know, just too wide, hit the gravel trap. But with Alex not having DRS on anybody, it's gonna be almost impossible to catch up.
Yeah. Even with going that wide, Mama Frank still kept within DRS range. And Chris Beemister, after overcoming Cole for P12, has already closed the gap on Brian Hockman and is threatening him.
And they're just right behind Alex and Big Mama Frank, so maybe they'll enter the fray relatively soon as well. As NBA just used reset to track. I know that is technically illegal. He was in a gravel trap, so I'm reset to track. I think that's maybe a 5-10 second penalty. I don't know for certain, obviously, but it's even more damage. He's behind Big Mama Frank and them now. He's going to be behind Brian Hackman and Chris after penalties are all said and done, at least for right now. But
yeah. So Johannes pulling away. He's got a 2.7 gap on Sid already. And Sid himself almost has a 1.8 second gap on Ethan Patel. The Red Bulls are together, though, and both within DRS range. Well, actually, no, sorry about that. Looks like Garrett Elder is not in DRS range of Ethan Patel. But they're close together, and they're scrapping, too. Maybe little team orders there as Shaggy Muffin gets a real easy pass on Garrett Elder there.
And Sleek coming right behind him, though, too. He doesn't go for it. I feel like Sleek could have had it. Garrett didn't have DRS, as you mentioned. And, they kind of, Garrett may or may not have let Shaggy by. And I felt like Sleek had an opportunity, as Dan Good is out of the session as well. I don't know. So there's a safety car. He must have hit the wall pretty hard.
Yep.
Safety car. So it brings these guys who are close, even closer. But, it allows another chance for Sid to catch Johannes. Hopefully get the start that he can have. Those are 6-lap old softs. Because I feel like, Johannes does have the pace, but if Sid can just get in front of him, maybe he can just do some defensive driving magic and keep him back.
Yeah, that safety car is huge. I mean, everyone's going to get bunched up again, too. And Florida goes into the pits, too. He's the first one. So 7 laps in. Is it too early for the soft tire runners to go in for mediums?
I mean, that'd be 20 laps on the mediums. I think I think that's way too early. You know, we see Drip is on the hards right now, on 0 lap old hards. And I think 20 laps, that's hard territory. Maybe once you get down, if this safety car had happened 3 laps later, like, you know, you switch on to the mediums, but with 20 laps, it's more of a gamble than anything. I'm not saying you can't do it. You know, these guys, we've seen Sid last season had crazy tire choices the whole time, and, you know, he
Yep.
made it work. But so if anyone can do it, you know, these guys definitely can. I just personally don't think that it's medium territory just yet.
Johannes is going in, and we'll see what tire he chooses.
And that I'm super interested to see what tire he's choosing right now. With 20 laps to go, it looks
I
like
think
he
he's
has
going
the
to go for
hards.
medium.
Oh no, that was another.
Really?
That was the other. He's going for the mediums. I was looking at, I believe, a Mercedes pit crew. I just saw the tires in the pit crew, and I was like, "What in the world?" So he's going to the mediums, and so he's gonna come out. He's gonna be behind. Who's he gonna be behind? Cole coming out P6.
Yeah, a lot of drivers coming in. So he's coming out P6. And now it's Sid's move. I mean, this is going to be difficult, I think, for Sid, because if Johannes can manage his tires effectively, the gap is just going to be too large,
Yeah,
right? He's essentially saved so much time because this is a slow pit stop too, right? I
yeah,
mean,
super slow.
it's only 37 kilometers per hour limit here. It's a slow stop, and Johannes just mitigated some of that. So, kind of luck of the draw, making the soft medium runners have a little bit of advantage.
Yeah, no, he's effectively an entire pit stop ahead of everyone in front of him.
Yeah.
You know,
Cole and
super
Dome.
dive.
Cole and Dome staying out on softs in P5 and P8 respectively. I mean, maybe they're trying like a curveball. But, you know, at that point, you know, Dome was hanging out in P15, but this move here, it's a risk. But if there's another safety car, all of a sudden he's back in the fray for top 10.
Yeah, if there's another safety car, and it's definitely possible, you got 17 drivers left. It could definitely happen, especially with we saw those guys so close. All it takes is one guy to slip up just for half a second, it can cause one. But even then, I don't think it's worth gambling on another safety car. And I do think we do see another driver doing that as Florida pitted onto the fresh softs. So he's on 0 lap old softs, and I don't really understand why you would turn this race into a 2-stop like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice, right? I mean, if I was in Florida's position, I would almost kind of do what Drip did and get on hards and just try to make it to the end of the race. And hopefully you make up some spots on some people who haven't pitted during this safety car, right? And can get up some places that way. So, interesting choice.
And I think we mentioned it on another safety car last season. I'm pretty sure we did, but you know, if you're Florida, you're not quite sure what strategy you think you should do, and you see the race leader Johannes go onto those fresh mediums, I think you know you kind of follow suit. You see everyone else going onto the mediums, but I mean he's gambling right now on those softs, but I just don't think it was the right call.
Yeah, all of a sudden Cole and Dome's tires are showing up as medium on my screen when I definitely thought they were soft tire runners before. But they didn't pit.
No, that was definitely on my screen as well. So,
Huh. I mean, they had softs for a while, right? As we were spectating them?
I mean, I'm fairly certain. Maybe we're both crazy. I don't
Maybe.
think so. Because I'm pretty sure, because we were questioning them because they hadn't pitted on the soft and they were on softs.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
So, as it stands now, look, top 15 all on medium tires. The top 5, it's showing 8-lap old mediums.
Yep. So 8-lap old mediums right there. Then you get into Johannes and Shaggy. And Shaggy is no slouch. He's my driver to look out for. And I'm not saying he's gonna fly by Johannes or anything, but I'm hoping he can latch on, get an overtake maybe, or just hold on. He is a former Division 1 driver, Division 1 level talent. But Johannes is an alien, so.
So one more lap of safety car here as you wait for Drip to catch up to the pack.
And Johannes really warming up those mediums. Doing the old brake throttle method at the same time. Warming up your brakes, warming up your tires. So if we go on to Cole, he better be warming up his tires, otherwise Johannes is going to be on his neck.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting restart here. I wonder if there's enough cars between, the Sid and the Ethan Patels to hold off Johannes. I think Johannes is probably going to get into maybe P3 restart, but maybe Sid and Ethan Patel can hold him off for a bit.
But you also got to think the way those last couple corners are situated, it doesn't allow for safety car restarts like we see in as Garrett Elders left the stairs. Now we rejoined relatively fast. It doesn't allow for safety car restart overtakes like we may have seen in Singapore, where it's just one left turn and then go. This one, the leader in front, who is Sid, has quite a bit of control, and it can almost, it's hard to get an overtake off the restart. It's essentially what I'm getting at, but so I don't know how the order's gonna go.
3 of the top 4 right now are Ferrari, right? So I wonder if there could be some team communication there to catch Ethan Patel sleeping on the restart. That would require a lot. They were expecting too much.
That's the goal, but I mean, you mentioned it. 3 for the Ferrari. Maybe Sleek. Sleek is in. He's behind his teammate Sid. Sleek is maybe told to hold up Johannes as best he can, pull a Checo, and let Sid kind of run away. Maybe Brian Hackman. In the Ferrari Brotherhood, you know how that is. You're part of that brotherhood.
Oh yeah.
If maybe they're gonna do some cross team. Maybe not like tell them physically, but in his head he's thinking, I'm not gonna let this Alpine get it.
Yeah. Well, great start by Sid. He pulled away from Ethan very nicely. And Sleek is right on the butt of Ethan Patel.
My interval is dead right now, so we're gonna do it by eye. Cole Clemens is also pretty close to Brian Hackman, and Sleek really was right behind Ethan Patel, but he got a little bit worse exit. As Johannes still behind Cole.
Yeah, he didn't get a great exit coming out of there. Had to burn some ERS to try to get close, but once he realized he didn't have it, he backed off to conserve. We'll see if we can get it here.
Cole, just plan it. Don't cause anything. Don't cause an incident. And he doesn't. Cole gets quite ahead at Cobbs, but Johannes maybe it took it a little bit better.
He lifted too. He lifted and downshifted. Although in traffic, sometimes, I mean,
yeah, the dirty
air you gotta do it.
Really. But Johannes is on 8-lap fresher tires than the rest of them.
Sid opening up a little bit of a gap between Ethan Patel. Remember, he's still got to stop, right? So he can maybe extend the mediums another 2 laps than he was going to because of safety car. But do you even want to do that? You want more time to make up that gap with the better softs. So it's going to be a really interesting strategy call for Sid in the next few laps.
So especially with that 3-second time penalty, I think the call will be to have Sid, as Johannes looked at Cole Kevin, he's going to go around the outside. Does Cole have the inside line? He does. Who's going to get better traction out of this corner? Johannes.
Wow.
Maybe goes on the grass just a tiny bit, but gets better traction. Great move. Fantastic.
That was a great pass on the outside. That's tough to do there. I mean, you're already kind of squeezed when you come out of it on the line, and woof, great pass.
everyone's super close. Brian Heckman within a second so far of Sleek, but I'm thinking, Sid pits first, and then Sleek tries to hold Johannes up as best as possible. But if you do that, you let Ethan Patel run away with it. Alpine wins either way.
Yeah, that's true. Although Ethan Patel's got a
Oh, he's
pit
got
as
a pit
well.
as well.
So if you're Ethan Patel and Alpine, you got to do follow the leader with Sid, right?
Yeah.
You have to react to whatever he does.
I think so.
This could just really simply be the case of the soft medium strat turning out better today because of when the safety car was activated.
And there's still time for another one. We got 13 laps remaining, but it's not guaranteed.
DRS active now. Johannes now within half a second of Brian Hockman, and I think that gap is going to get smaller and smaller as we go along. And those newer medium tires are really, the pace is starting to show.
Yeah, and Brian didn't have DRS from Sleek, and so, Brian, I'd move your car over just a little bit, get in the defending. Yeah, he does. As Josh Barnsley picks up 3-second time penalty, so, Brian's still ahead going in. I think that's Super Brooklyn's coming up ahead of the cops. Johannes had a bit of a moment. He's really pushing, trying to get past these guys.
Well, all the action's going on up front. There's a little bit of a DRS train forming between P10 all the way down to P15. So those runners kind of towards the end could be looking to make a move and compete for a top 10. Chris, Frank, NVA, Garrett Elder in P13, Sanduga in Florida, all in a train.
So yeah, any mishap, anyone stepping out of the train, Johannes just flies by Brian Hackman with DRS. Just that DRS straight's so powerful. Next target is Sleek for Johannes, but we're going to hop down to where Buffalo was just talking about. We're going to hop on board with Garrett Elder, who's right behind NBA, who's right behind Big Mama Frank, who's right behind Chris, who's right behind Alex. Goes on and on and on and on. And we're going to see what they can do. Johannes goes purple lap, actually, not just sector. Purple lap, 129.6, I think it was.
129.6.
Garrett maybe gets away with a cut right there, but yeah, those guys are all just so close together. They make a move. Big Mama Frank goes on the inside. There's contact between NVA and Chris by himself. They just touch wheels a little bit, but Big Mama Frank somehow got ahead of Chris right there. NVA still didn't get ahead of Chris, and Garrett Elder's just watching that from the background. Chris should have DRS coming through this little straight back at Big Mama Frank. He's got he took a peek. He may have had contact again with Big Mama Frank, and he gets hit by NVA. Chris is off the track right now. And there's just chaos going on right now. Big Mama Frank, P9, NVA P10, Cole P11, Chris down to P13. And he's right next to Big Mama Frank's teammate, Mr. Sanduga right now. There's just chaos happening.
Yeah, it looked like actually Garrett Elder kind of rear-ended either the McLaren or NVA and may have had an influence on that whole situation there.
And like we mentioned, just one little mishap. Luckily everyone came out relatively unhurt. As Mr. Sanduga had to back out because Chris was a little bit slow through that, and that allowed Florida to get right through. Florida is on the 6th lap old stop. He's going to have to pit again, but that did cost Mr. Sanduga potentially a place on Chris.
Yeah, so I think Garrett Elder does have a little bit of wing damage. I wonder if he's going to have to come in.
And Chris does as well. As Chris is pitting on 5 lap old mediums. And while that was happening, Johannes is within 4/10 of Sleek. And so we're going to see, Ferrari versus Alpine right now. It goes Ferrari, Alpine, Sid, Ethan, Sleek, Johannes. We're going to see what this DRS train has to offer for right now. If Johannes can break it and get within Sleek, or past Sleek, I mean. And if Ethan Patel's maybe backing him up a little bit, trying to put him in a vulnerable spot.
So I wonder if this is it, OG. Is this the lap that they have to go in? Because that window is closing to try to make up time on tires, and you lose so much in the pits on this track.
Yeah, Sid, you got to maybe go in. Maybe not this lap, maybe the next one.
Oh, there's a safety car.
Wow, that's humongous.
I didn't see the incident.
I didn't either. I don't know. I don't know
Could it be
who
a
it's
Red Bull?
involving. I mean, let's. So Garrett's at the back. Does Garrett have a wing? I think he does.
It looks like Big Mama Frank has some wing damage too.
Yeah, Big Mama Frank doesn't even have a wing right now. So,
That's damage.
yeah, that's quite a bit of damage. It looks like he has some sidebarge damage as well. So that's not something that's just gonna be repaired in the pits. That's something he's gonna have
Mhm.
to live with for the next 11 laps.
So how lucky is Sid and Ethan Patel, Sleek, and Brian Hockman now? They can actually compete with Johannes for the win. The trick will be how many cars in between to make those softs work. They can have all the pace in the world, but if there's too much traffic, I mean, how many cars are they going to have to pass to even have a shot at Johannes?
I don't know, but there's something to note. Johannes's tires will be 20 laps old. That's old.
Yeah,
And so
that's old. And
I just
Sid's
don't
out in
know.
P3.
Yep. So Sid's out in P3, and Josh Barnsley, he'll probably stay on the mediums. He's in a good spot right now, but I wouldn't put it past him to go onto the softs, seeing that Ferrari has a chance at the win here.
Yeah, so what can you do as a teammate here in P2? I said, look, Sid definitely has the better shot at the win. So do you kind of insert yourself there to maybe assist with the DRS train if Johannes pulls away, and then given the opportunity, just let Sid by? I mean, that's probably the move for Josh, especially as the head of Team Ferrari as a whole, right? Is that what he's thinking?
No, I don't know. You gotta. We also gotta keep into consideration. We're looking at this all from the outsider view. We're not looking at it from the eyes of maybe a racer. Like in that moment, he wants to win this race too. And he's on equal footing with potentially the fastest guy on in D2 right now. He's got the same tire. Um, he's right behind him, so he may see this as an opportunity to show he's got what it takes as well. But fresh softs are going to be fast.
Something to note too, Josh has that 3-second penalty. So, his desire to win, if he's thinking a little bit realistic about it, what are the chances on equal footing he can pull 3 seconds from Johannes?
God, I don't know. I don't know. There's just so many different variables, so many different drivers thinking so many different things. Um, I don't know. As Alex went on to the mediums, so I don't. Maybe he was on soft side. I don't
Interesting
know.
choice there. Maybe he started on softs and then maybe he wanted fresh mediums as opposed to instead of scrub softs.
I'm assuming Drip had the same ideas. He's on a set of mediums as well, but I would assume I thought they would have had more than one set of softs as Drip went soft, hard, medium,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. As Drip, he doesn't seem to be escaping the case of the drips just yet. It's in the second safety car. It's the second time he's been about half a lap behind everyone at that safety car. Um, if you
I
want
wonder
to stay,
if
go
he
on.
was affected by connection issues at the start, because he had a like a 5-second kind of collision penalty that he had to serve, but I'm not sure if that was due to driver error or because of the connection.
Yeah, no, there's so many. This game it can be frustrating. It has so many issues sometimes, um, and it can really cost you. And I hope it's not. Um, I believe he has damage on his rear wing. I can't tell for certain. I don't know, Buffalo, if you may have a better look than I, but is that damage on his rear wing?
On whose?
On
Drip?
Drip, yeah.
He just changed in lap 17, so
As he's gonna come up to the pack, so the safety car should be in on this next lap, which does save Johannes's tires just a little bit. So they're gonna be 20 laps old, but they may feel like they're 16, 17 laps old.
OG, I feel like we saw something really similar to this last season, D2 in Jeddah. And I believe it wasn't it Hunte that was on really
It
old
was.
tires
It
with
was.
a safety car late in the race, and he defended the hell out of it,
Yeah, he
and
did.
he pulled out with the win, right? It's like eerily similar right now.
It really is. So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Johannes at all. I mean, he obviously has the pace, but overcoming fresh softs is a hard task. I
Yeah.
don't know, and so maybe history does repeat itself, but I don't know. I'm in my mind, I'm thinking the fresh softs will beat out the old mediums.
Yeah, that's how it looks like on paper to me. My money is probably on Sid to win this race, but I'm hoping I just didn't curse him.
Yeah, outside shot, not even outside shot, like legitimate shot. Ethan Patel as well. You know, if Sid and I mentioned it earlier, if Sid and Johannes are battling it out, Ethan Patel being opportunistic, season opening, goes for it, maybe gets past both of them.
Hmm.
And we'll see what
Alex
Josh
again.
Barnsley does.
Say Alex again slipping under the radar is the top Mercedes driver so far today, sitting in P8.
So once again, he was showing that in the qualifying, showing that in the race right now. Alex P8, the main team Mercedes, Mr. Sandunga P10, Big Mama Frank P16. Not a great showcase for Mercedes today. Is maybe that'll get. I,
Oh,
I hope there was not any real wing damage. Maybe that'll get changed, but
I,
from the stewards, but I don't know.
I don't see any wing damage on that incident, so I'm hoping my info is right and they're clean.
As
There's
they
a
go
restart.
green, Josh Barnsley loses it a little bit, but Johannes is already second past them. So Sid's gonna have to put in some work trying to get to close in on that. That's great restart from Johannes. We mentioned earlier. It's such a weird track for safety car restarts. The leader really determines how good, like how the rest of the field will restart. The leader has full control over that. So
Yeah, really good start. Really good start. And if Josh can't get DRS on Johannes, it's going to get dangerous for everyone else
mm.
trying to catch up.
And he's already out of DRS range. He's 1.2 seconds back. And so Sid coming in, hopefully going to get not DRS on this lap. They got to wait a lap until DRS is reactivated. But he's already what was that 2 seconds ahead of Sid. I understand there's a car between them, but
Yeah, that's a lot of time to build that gap. That's going to be a really long 3 laps if I'm sitting in P3 and P4, hoping to have a shot to win this race.
as Josh Barnsley takes the outside line, Sid just goes up the inside, makes the move, and Josh Barnsley looking right at him. Doesn't make a move back, but Ethan Patel P4 looking at Josh Barnsley like a new Emil Johannes goes a fastest lap
Fastest lap
1:28.7.
on 11 on mediums as Cole spins out now and finds himself in P17. And I noticed too, spinning out at Silverstone, not that I do that too often, those rear tires get super hot. And
Yeah,
even just getting back on track can be difficult because you just can't get any traction.
yeah, it's almost impossible because it feels like it takes an entire lap just for him to cool down. As Sid is
Yeah,
back within 1.3 seconds of Johannes, and Josh and Ethan battling it out. Ethan wins that battle for now. Sleek right behind Josh, looking to make that move as well. So right now, Sid is in an Alpine sandwich of Johannes and Ethan. His teammate Sleek is looking on the outside, trying to see how he can help. But right now, Sid is on his own.
yeah, Sid just lifted off pretty heavy in cops, but he also had the ERS going, so I don't know what you're doing in the heat of the moment. I mean, interesting.
And he seems to have better straight line speed. I'm sure that's the softs combined with a little bit of setup tweaking as well. So if he can get within DRS range, I feel like, the DRS combined with the ERS, combined with the setup, combined with the tires, he just needs to get within that second.
Yeah, we might start to see that gap shrink too, as he'll get naturally some better exits, but DRS just enabled, and that gap is still healthy over a second so far.
But the gap that isn't over a second is between Sid and Ethan. Ethan will have DRS on Sid, and so maybe they can make it an Alpine 1-2 right here, as Sleek did get past Josh, and Brian Hackman did as well.
Yeah, and Ethan is going to scrap as much as he can with Sid, right? Just to slow, just to let Johannes pull away. But it just looks like he's running out of time. This is going to come down to the wire.
It sure is. He seems to cut off Sid. He's cut off about a 10th through what I think is 2 laps so far. But he seems to be making enough time through Sector 2, and then he loses it towards the end of Sector 3. But he's got to turn it on. He's got to make everything stick.
They're both burning ERS at a pretty high rate here, trying to scrap each other. Gap is closing in.
And Sid, within a second of Johannes, he'll be assuming, it's going to be close to see if he's going to be within DRS range for this next DRS straight.
And Josh just a victim of circumstance with the timing of the safety car, because he hasn't been able to make those 12-lap mediums stand up as well as Johannes, and he's fallen down to P7 with Sanduka threatening that too.
And so Sid won't have DRS. His Sleek goes fastest lap. Sid won't have DRS for this straight, but the next one, I believe he should.
He didn't get a good exit though coming off of there. The gap isn't closing as much as it should.
Coming down to the wire, we got 4 or 5 laps remaining. It's gonna be tight. Someone to watch out for though, Sleek right behind Ethan. If he can make that move, then give Sid some breathing room, then maybe Sid may have the confidence to really go for it. No one's on his tail yet, or no one's on his tail at that moment.
And Sleek's not really in contention for podium here, right? Because he's got that 3-second penalty. There's just not enough time in the race to make up that. But the more he can, this is where team play can really come in, right? Because the more he can scrap with Ethan, allows Sid to go after Johannes, who is now extending that gap.
Yeah, and you're thinking maybe Sid sees Ethan in those rear view mirrors. You think he might be getting a little nervous?
I don't know, but I think we're just seeing a clinic right here put on by Johannes on tire management and race strategy.
Without a doubt.
The gap is up to 1.5 already.
At one point he got it within 9/10, and now it's back to 1.6. You gotta wonder, maybe final lap or so, his tires may be at the fall-off point. I don't know.
Down at the back too, it looks like some more wing damage for Shaggy Muffin and for Garrett Elder. So they both pull into the pits. So not a banner day for Team Red Bull so far, as we're watching the Alpines and the Ferraris scrap up front.
Yeah, those two looking like the teams to beat for the season right now. And Ethan is just right on Sleek's tail.
Yeah, they have 1-2 on the mind.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Johannes 1.7.
And I think that was the window, right? Because when you have the fresh softs, they only have that much of an edge for so long.
Yeah.
And so now you're on 6-lap-old softs, and then the 14-lap-old mediums almost kind of catch up in quality.
And then if you look,
and
Ethan's got 60 ERS. Sorry for interrupting, by the way. 60 ERS. Sid has, 35. He's building a little bit more right now, but, Ethan has 70 now. And so Ethan has quite the large battery gap on Sid for right now. So he's just, saving it for maybe the last 2 laps.
Could be. And meanwhile, Johannes is he's got a 2-second gap now ahead of P2 with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and that 2-second gap is growing. 2.2, 2.3. Gonna be 2.4 in a second. All the while, Ethan's still not using his ERS. You know, banking it in. Gonna go for an overtake he knows he can make.
While we follow the action up front, Alex catching up to NVA, trying to improve Mercedes' position here, and Mr. Sanduga is within DRS range of Chris. So the Mercedes are now entering the fray here for positions 6 through 10, trying to improve their standing.
As Dome got a 10-second penalty and then just retired. Meanwhile,
Oof.
Sleek right on the tail of Ethan, as Ethan is right on the tail of Sid. Is Sleek? Ethan's gonna go on the inside of Sid, and so is Sleek. Sleek didn't do it. Ethan made the move though, and so Ethan completes the Alpine 1-2 for now. But Sid's gonna come back. They both Ferraris are gonna have DRS on him. You know, lucky no contact was made right there. I don't think. Ethan's not in the clear just yet.
No contact, but right there, Alpine's looking at 1-2, already a 0.7 second gap, and Sid has to stay in range right now. They'll get DRS on the next straight.
And he just didn't get the exit. I don't think he'll be able to make much time up on this straight.
Carries a lot of speed into turn 6. What his exit looks like. The gap is just over 1 second now. 1 lap to go.
As Cole goes fastest lap, that is Honda powered right there, baby. 128.3. So this is the DRS straight that I think is most important for Sid's race. It'll see what he can do on the final lap as well. As Jordan Angus seems to be getting closer and closer to Sid on the DRS. No overtakes right there, but Ethan Patel looking more and more like he will hold on to that P2.
Yeah, I don't think Sleek is going to go for the overtake on Sid. It just doesn't make sense with a 3-second penalty. But you mentioned Cole getting fastest lap. Probably the best part of the day for Team Honda. P14 is as high as they are right now with a DNF.
Yeah, not a great day if you're a Honda fan. 14, 15, 16, and 19. But
that's Honda power.
We're holding on to that fastest lap, I tell you what. Sid is out of DRS, and Sleek, you know, he just keeps getting closer and closer. I keep thinking he's going to go for a move.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense.
Ryan Hackman said, sorry, Sleek, I'm going in. There was contact between the two, and excuse me, but Brian Hackman, we're going to see the penalties. Brian Hackman has 5 seconds of penalties, and he made a move onto Sleek, so he's going to have to build a 2-second gap within the final half the lap. I don't really understand the move that was made right there. Maybe he's hoping a penalty be wiped off. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just for bragging rights there, so that way the Alfa Romeo say they got ahead of one Ferrari driver. But as you look at Johannes and Ethan Patel coming in to clean it up for Alpine.
Yep, Johannes Ludwig coming to the line, wins the first race of Season 3, followed by his teammate Ethan Patel in P2, followed by Sid P3, Sleek P4, Brian Hackman P5, Sandunga, Mercedes Power P6, Chris, who didn't have a great qualifying, P7, Alex, you know, Mr. Under the Radar. You know, maybe someone like a Pierre Gasly, you know, he's not always super flashy, but he is consistent. P9, NBA P10. Josh Barnsley, you know, at one point was in P2 with, what was it, 5 laps remaining? I think. Yeah. 5 laps remaining, and he's down to P11. Drip made it back up to P12. Florida P13. And then the Honda Power. Garrett, Shaggy, Cole, round out the rest of the finishers 14, 15, and 16. That was a great race.
That was a great race. Yeah, and you see, Team Ferrari had a great day. Alpine, of course, with the sweep, and just a great way to start the season. Josh Barnsley really just kind of a victim of circumstance, right? The way the strategy was, the way that second safety car just kind of really, really hurt him, and he just wasn't able to keep up with the old mediums as well as Johannes was.
Yeah, Johannes, absolute masterclass, super old mediums, but he held on until that soft window was over, and then from there, he just kept his head down. And Ethan Patel, putting enough pressure on Sid, to make sure Sid wouldn't make any moves on his teammate, and
Yeah,
then eventually getting that position. Ethan had a hell of a race.
yeah. Big winners here, too, in the race for Mercedes. You had 5, 6, and 7 come up from, I think it was Chris, Mr. Sanduga, and maybe it was Frank that came up from not great qualifying sessions. And there's Chris as
Yeah,
driver of the
driver of the
day.
day.
But they had a great race, and they kind of salvaged a poor Saturday and came up with a great Sunday.
Yep, that's exactly what they did. And we're gonna hop on board. We're gonna try to get some interviews. Um, and we'll interview. We'll go 3, 2, 1 today. Hopefully, at least. So Sid, Johannes, and Ethan.
And 2 Indian drivers at the podium today, making the country proud. Look at that.
Well, there you go. And then the Canadians right behind him, Sleek, Brian Hackman, Chris. We got the Canadians are just going crazy here.
Yeah, hey, as much crap as we gave Toto Rivas in qualifying, I mean, he's got 6, 7, 8, and 9, came up from a poor Saturday and a great showing here on Sunday to get some big points for the team.
Yeah, mega points. And I'm gonna go ahead and see if we can pull these guys in. Yeah, okay, so we're gonna start out. We're gonna pull in Sid. Sid, can you hear us?
TRS and oh, my bad. Yeah, what's up?
I mean, you had a great race. Ended up P3. And for a moment there, it looked like, with the safety car, you were going to end up with the win. What are your thoughts on the P3? Are you disappointed, happy, content? What do you think?
I'm I'm happy. It's a good start to the season. I am not sure what happened with my teammate there at the end. Like we were fighting. I don't know why, but yeah, it was a good race.
I mean, yeah,
Ethan is quick. Johannes is quick. It's a good race.
yeah, it was a super fun race to watch. And we were kind of wondering that. We kept wondering, Sleek was making some moves on you. Um, maybe it were a little bit unwarranted, whatever. But I think that I think it's super exciting if you're a Ferrari fan because both y'all were fighting at the front of the pack. Both y'all obviously showed tremendous pace, and so I think it's great for the season going forward.
Yeah, I think he's definitely quick. I would have let him by if he didn't have the penalty, but he did, and that's why I didn't understand what he was trying to do.
Did
He
you
was
have any
definitely
kind of
quicker on me on track.
Sid, I noticed, kind of Brian Hackman was up there with the Alphas too, and Josh as well. Did you guys have any kind of Ferrari team orders with them too, or were you guys just kind of running your own race?
No, I personally am running my own race. I don't know about them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great showing today, Sid. Really nice job.
Yeah, great job.
Yep. Thank you.
Anything else you want to let the world know?
Yeah, the reason I didn't go out in Q1 was because I was puking my guts out.
Oh,
That's it.
okay. Well, now we
This
know.
race has actually cured my hangover, so thank you for the race. I feel
Well,
much better.
Well, great race. I'm glad you're feeling better, Sid. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you guys.
And we'll go ahead and we're gonna pull in Ethan P2. Ethan,
Oh, oh, what's up?
what's up, dude? How you feeling?
That was great, man. 1-2.
Is that a sign of more things to come? You think that's gonna be maybe a trend throughout the season?
We'll try to get more of those.
Are you hoping to get on the winning end maybe next race?
Sometimes, hopefully one day, but I'll take a 1-2 for the team for sure.
I mean, you showed like tremendous pace. I mean, you put enough pressure on Sid there in those last 8 laps or so, and eventually got the P2. That was just nuts. And So, and this is kind of a long question. So, like last season, you had trouble qualifying, but this season, the start of it at least, you had a great qualifying. You think that's also a sign of more things to come?
I still have things to work on with that qualifying. I left it up at the last minute on that Q2 run. That was stressful. I was luckily able to squeeze into Q3, but for sure, it's improvement.
Yeah, Ethan, real nice job with the 1-2. I'm sure you guys were in communication the whole race. Kind of those last 2 laps. Were you guys nervous kind of about Johannes on the old mediums? And did you guys have a strategy for Sid going in? Or was it just push, 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 and you try to scrap with Sid as much as you can?
Oh yeah, so the safety car really scared us. Everyone saying Johannes has no chance anymore. The goal was for me. We were talking the whole time. It was me to fight Sid and try to let Johannes pull off in sunset. As soon as I saw Sid's red light flashing, I was like, "It's go time."
I mean, yeah, it was like incredible. We noticed you were putting so much pressure on him, and then we'd swap between the onboards, and you'd have 60 ERS, and he'd have like 20, and those last couple laps, we knew you were just setting it up, and then it worked out in your favor. So just like great drive on, it was amazing.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right,
Ethan, congratulations, man. Great job on P2.
All right, thanks.
all right. See you next week, Ethan.
See y'all.
And now for the season opener winner, Johannes Ludwig. We're pulling him in. Johannes,
Hello.
I got a couple questions for you. Number one, was that race a little bit better than you're used to, coming from D3? What was the difference like?
Yeah, the drivers they are way faster. That's a D3. D3 was a little boring, and today it was very interesting and exciting.
So,
Damn.
yeah, no, I mean, it looked incredible. So, like after that safety car, that final safety car, were you a little bit worried? You're gonna end up on those old mediums. He's gonna have fresh softs.
Yeah, because Sid he followed me on the first stint before the first safety car on the mediums, and I had softs, and he was only 2 seconds behind me. So when I saw he was only third and I was first, um, at the safety car, I was like, yeah, okay. Maybe I'm lucky if I get a P3 or P4. But I had a good safety car restart, and pulled a second very fast to Josh, and then Sid he overtook Josh, and I don't know
Johannes,
how. Yeah.
I was gonna say, did you kind of make a note to improve kind of the tire wear through the race when you pitted on mediums kind of a little bit early on? Were you kind of trying to manage the life of the tires, knowing that it might kind of come down to the wire? Because you were able to pull off a lot better than Josh Barnsley, who was kind of a victim after that safety car, and he kind of tumbled down the list.
Yeah, I saved a little tire under the safety car and burned a lot of fuel, so my car not had so much weight. But I have made some practice up to the race today, and I knew the mediums could do 25 laps,
Dang.
Wow.
almost the entire race. So tire wear wasn't a problem.
I mean, yeah, no, it was evident. You had your teammate Ethan, putting a lot of pressure on Sid, um, and it led to an Alpine 1-2. Do you expect the Alpine 1-2 to be, kind of a theme throughout the season?
It's gonna be tough because Sid and Sleek, and I remember Garrett Elder is also a very fast driver, so maybe, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to tell right now, but I don't think it's the last time we will see a 1-2 from Alpine.
Well, there you go. Great, great race. It was super fun to watch, and yeah, I'm sure it was way more fun than running away 40 seconds ahead in Division 3. So great race, and we'll maybe see you next week, I hope.
Yeah, hopefully.
Johannes, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, well, that was it. I mean, that was a great, fantastic opener, honestly. Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think we could have asked for better than that. It really reminded me of Jeddah last season, and that was one of my favorite race weekends. So can't wait for next time.
Yeah, I really can't. All right, so this is OG, and
This is Buffalo.
there we go, and we'll see you on